Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Justin and I like motorbikes. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a review of the MotoTote Max Plus hitch carrier. The Max Plus is a 600-pound carrying capacity hitch carrier from a company called MotoTote. A couple of ground rules: I did buy it with my own money. Obviously I'm not sponsored, not being paid to make this video. I bought it, I put my very own Husky Norden 901 Expedition on the back of it, and then proceeded to carry it for a little over 1,000 miles round trip. I went up and down mountain roads, around curves, had to do evasive maneuvers on interstates, kind of all the standard driving you would do in a road trip, minus the fact that I had a 520 plus pound motorcycle on the back on a hitch carrier. And it worked really well. So, like everything else, nothing's perfect, and there are, of course, a couple warts, but I was really impressed with the MotoTote, and I'd like to give you a review of some of my thoughts. So if you're interested, stick around and let's get into it. So one of the fun things about making YouTube videos that I enjoy are the interactions with people, and I don't get a lot of those on my videos, and I'd love to have more, but this my loading day video where I loaded the bike for the first time on the MotoTote definitely got some comments, and I want to call out one of them here. And I 100% respect this comment because it's the exact same feeling I had as I was looking at the idea of a hitch carrier. I was anti-hitch carrier and definitely pro-trailer, and now I'm kind of pro both. I think when it comes to hitch carriers, you definitely get what you pay for. That's why I went with the MotoTote. I know it's expensive, but it did perform very well. I had to do some evasive action. I drove down interstates. I went through a couple urban areas. I went up and down mountain roads, curves, had to brake, all the stuff you would do in a general road trip, along with having a 520 plus pound motorcycle strapped to the back of the bike or to the back of the truck. So it definitely worked, but I completely get it. And I'm not going to tell anyone that pulling a hitch carrier as opposed to a trailer is the right answer. I don't know that it's the best answer. It's just the one that worked for me, and these are my opinions of it. But I 100% feel this, and if you have this kind of trepidation, there's nothing wrong with that, because I could see it also being sketchy, and I was kind of fully expecting it to be, but luckily it worked out very well. All right, so without going into too much detail, because there's already a video about it on the channel, the installation, or I should say the assembly of the MotoTote Max Plus was very easy. Any of the issues that I experienced, as I said in the video, were because I was doing it by myself. So I had to figure out how to hold things while attaching other things. And eventually I did. And it only took probably 45 minutes to an hour to get it assembled, which in the grand scheme of things is not a lot of time. So assembly was very straightforward. No complaints on assembly. Definitely something that anyone with a decent set of tools could accomplish. The next point I'd like to cover is the installation. So the installation of, say, the MotoTote onto your vehicle. In my case, as I said, it was a Ford F-150 pickup. And the MotoTote, one of the greatest things that I've found about it is that while it's well built and super strong, it's also lightweight. So it was easy for me to pick up and to attach to the truck, slide into the receiver without needing an additional set of hands, which for me, as I do a lot of this stuff by myself, is super helpful. One thing to keep in mind, if you read reviews, you'll hear people talking about the zero wobble hitch mount. There are a couple different ways you can install that zero wobble hitch mount, and there's only one of them that's right. The right way would be to allow that hitch mount to actually go into the hole on your receiver. So the hole on the MotoTote itself that goes through the receiver for the bolts is smaller in diameter than, say, the hole on your actual receiver. So when you put that bolt through the MotoTote, the zero wobble mechanism, the handle, kind of that handle nut, sits inside the receiver itself, and then you screw into that. So basically, I had to kind of retrain my brain, because generally speaking, I would do what I think most people would do. I would take that bolt and I would slide it through, and then I would attach the nut on the other side. But actually, I had to end up putting the handle nut in the receiver first, pushing it through into the receiver, and then screwing into that, or bolting that, attaching that bolt into there, and that allowed that to really make that connection. And honestly, once I did that, there was no wobble. It was incredibly stable. It was to a point where I honestly, if I wouldn't have been able to look in the mirrors and see the bike back there, I probably would have forgot it was there. Yeah, you notice a little bit of weight on the back of the truck maybe, but as far as movement or sway or anything that would give me pause, absolutely not. It was completely stable, and I would 100% turn around and drive this multiple thousands of miles each way, as opposed to just a 1,000-mile round trip, which was still, I think, a pretty good test. Yeah, when I initially left my house the first morning carrying the bike, I stopped every 30 or 40 miles for the first couple hundred just to kind of make sure everything had stayed tight. And luckily everything had, unsurprisingly, but it really was kind of a set it and forget it. Obviously when you stop for gas, things like that, you check and make sure your straps and stuff are still good. No problems there. It really is a quality product. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the loading and unloading of the motorcycle. And again, there is a video on the channel. I think that this is really going to depend on the kind of bike you have. If you're loading a sport bike, if you're loading a dirt bike, if you're loading a small ADV, something like, say, a Himalayan 450 or a CF Moto 450 MT or Ibex 450, depending where you're from, or a small dual sport, say a DRZ or DRZ, your results are going to vary. I'm loading, of course, a 520 plus pound Husky Norden 901 Expedition. Again, I got some excellent advice with regards to how I should load it in that other video. I appreciate all those comments. Always good to have new tools in the toolbox. I chose to load it using the power of the bike, which led to some very sketchy results the very first time. That has since improved. I've done it a few different times since. That has since improved. One thing that you'll notice, obviously, is that having the ramp and the platform lined up are critical. Makes it just a little bit easier on you. The other thing I think that super helps, or that is very helpful, is also making sure your bike's lined up. So obviously starting at an angle, trying to do it, you're going to have to adjust to get it to go up in that straight line. So starting with a straight line to begin with is going to make life a lot easier. If there's one thing, and again, we'll talk about improvements in a little bit, but if there's one thing that on this particular process that I would improve, it would be putting grip tape or grip something to improve the traction on the ramp itself. If you watch that video, we'll throw a clip in. You'll see my rear tire does slip, and that's with a dry ramp. I can tell you that loading it with a wet ramp when I came home from that particular trip was even more fun, and by fun I mean just straight up sketchy. So traction matters, and that is one thing that beautiful powder coat does not have. So, but I do have a fix for that coming up, and there'll obviously be a video about that on the channel. But loading and unloading, I think it's, however you do it, obviously having the height to control the bars, to be able to kind of have a good purchase, a good handle on the bike as you're loading it is key. But loading and unloading was actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And I don't have any second thoughts about even doing it alone now, because I think if you do the pre-work and you have it lined up, you make sure everything's straight, I think you're going to be in just good shape. But no complaints with the MotoTote Max Plus when it comes to loading and unloading the bike. So it's not all butterflies and roses when it comes to the MotoTote Max Plus. There are, of course, a couple of things, as there are with most products, that I think could be improved upon. The first one is an add-on. So the MotoTote Max Plus by default does not come with a light kit. I put the light kit on mine. I bought the MotoTote one. It was about $100. And the first thing that you realize when you read the reviews is that the mounting screws are probably made of butter. They're absolute garbage. So after spending $100 on the light kit and nearly $1,000 on the entire setup, I had to go spend another couple bucks on some self-tapping, better quality screws. And that being said, I was happy to do so because I thought pre-wired lights made sense. They got rained on. They did fine in the rain. But it is something to think about. Could I have done it with some cheaper Harbor Freight lights? Probably. That being said, MotoTote lights works, but I think it's kind of foolish to spend that much money on a system and then have to go spend additional money on mounting screws. So that should definitely be improved upon. The second thing, and again, I've got a comment on this as well. I actually was told this as I was loading the bike at the campground, and I was told by someone on YouTube. So this comment here, and that has to do with obviously adding something to help with the traction on the ramp. As you will see, as I was loading the bike, my rear tire was slipping, and that's even with it being dry. When it was wet the morning I was loading the bike to head home, it was wet, and that obviously added a degree of difficulty. Still got it done safely, but having some additional traction on that ramp, and I think maybe even on the platform in general, is probably not a bad thing. And so I did actually order, it actually did arrive. I'll do a video when I install it, some outdoor grip tape that I'll install on the ramp, and I think the platform as well, just to improve that kind of surface adhesion as you're trying to run that vehicle up that ramp. So thanks for the comment, and I 100% agree, and I'll make that update as well. All right, so at the end of the day, if it's not obvious, I would 100% recommend the MotoTote Max Plus. It's a good quality. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, please give us a like. It really does help. If you're curious what else is happening, is the grip tape on the ramp, some trips, more garage videos, whatever, please subscribe. I know everybody's YouTube time is valuable. I'll always do my very best to earn it. It's hot out here in the Midwest right now. It's about 95, 97 degrees, 110, 12, whatever with the heat index. But if it's conducive to ride where you are, please go out and do so safely, and I will see you in the next one.